Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
Constant Contact's marketing tools and technology make it easier than ever to drive big results for your small business. From list growth and email to SMS and social media, it's all powered by advanced automation and AI capabilities that help you grow your business more effectively. Plus, we've got the reporting you need to see what's working and what's not, so you can adjust along the way. Constant Contact is the digital marketing solution you need to keep up, excel, and grow. Try it for free today at ConstantContact.com.
BooBaes. BooBaes. Hey, Baes.
Hey, Baes.
It's Joshua.
And Caitlin.
And we're not here for a long time, but just long enough to encounter and escape the evil clutches of a Norse god.
Oh,
dun,
good.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nice. We actually got off to introducing ourselves and the movie all in one fell swoop.
There we go.
I liked it.
Thought I'd try it out.
Well, yeah. Hey, as we said, this is BooBaes, your favorite horror movie spooktacular podcast.
We're here to talk about all the scary movies that you love.
Or hate.
Yeah.
That we might hate.
We'll figure it out.
Today's, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either.
I am a little bit of a fan. But first, we have some recapping to do.
Oh, yeah, we do, don't we?
Last week, we covered The Taking of Deborah Logan, wonderful
great movie
film. And we asked y'all on Instagram for some responses. And then we totally blanked and didn't read them to you.
Didn't.
But we're going to
here
now.
Just to recap on that, we have from @Jonathan Cambambia. This movie is wild, very well executed and scary. It is definitely worth watching, and he gave it a 4 out of 5 boos.
4 out of 5 boos.
4 out of 5 boos.
That's what I gave it to.
And then we have another from Robbie Jackson. Deb's throat game is crazy. She gets 3 boos and 1 snake and 2 devil faces.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like this change of rating system.
Right?
The snake, very fitting.
Exactly.
I love
2 little
it.
demonic faces, because like possession.
Yeah.
So,
man, so
yeah.
we've got 3 boos plus a snake plus 2. We're on 6.
yeah, somewhere there.
You really love this film.
Well, thank you guys for replying to
Responding.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
And if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it because,
Yeah.
as we said, it's a great film.
And please comment on our Instagram and let us know what you thought. Give it. Let us know how many boos you gave it.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get better about that, so that way
Yeah.
we can read some of your responses on the air every week.
Yeah.
We have some for this week too, but we're gonna save it for the end when we actually do our boos as well.
Awesome.
And we promise that we will not forget
next time. Yeah, no, it was the first
or
time. And
we may still forget and
We might.
just don't hold it against us.
bear with us. But
We're
I mean,
humans.
we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We're
someday.
learning. Okay, awesome. So
Learning.
today's movie, we're going to be talking about The Ritual.
The Ritual. Ba-ba-ba-bum.
Yeah.
2017.
Yes, 2017.
Great film.
Yeah,
Really
this is,
beautiful.
Um,
I just want to go to Sweden. Even after watching
that's
this.
what I was about to say. I'm actually in the opposite. I'm like, I don't think I ever want to go to Sweden. Thank you.
They're
that
gonna,
between that
they're
and
gonna kill
Midsummer,
us. Yeah.
like there's enough enough stuff there for me to maybe rethink that and consider ever traveling there. But beautiful country.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
It is just, you're right. This isn't like, I mean, they wouldn't put this on a postcard.
No,
Come
not
to
this.
Sweden. We've got Moder.
Mulder, the Norse god,
god.
that's going to just
She's going to be your mommy.
literally
She'll put your face right in
flip
the
it up
ground.
and turn it upside down,
Yeah.
stick you on a tree.
Mm-hmm. And take all your insides out. Aw. We love a good
Or grant you
entrail.
everlasting life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which looks painful.
We'll get there.
Yes, we will
I
get
love
there.
saying we will get there. Okay.
What if we
so-
never got there?
We might not.
Dun-dun-dun-dun. So The Ritual, 2017 horror/mystery. Nice little bite-sized hour and a half. Pretty
yeah.
easy to get through.
I loved it. It's very digestible.
It's got a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, 57% from Metacritic. So people weren't like the biggest fan, but they didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's kind of like right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's pretty fair to say.
Directed by David Bruckner,
Yes.
and he has done what other things? The Night
Lets me
House, The Ritual, Southbound. Oh,
What is it?
VHS.
VHS. Which one though?
VHS.
Like literal VHS.
Yeah,
the movie
the-
that we covered.
that we've already covered.
Wait, how did we know that? Or did we not? I mean, maybe he was one
Maybe
of
he
the
was
videos.
and 94. He did VHS 94 as well.
Okay, cool.
Maybe he
Shout
was.
out to you, David.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, he was a director, known for director of VHS. He was a producer for VHS 94.
Okay, gotcha.
And also for VHS. And he's a writer for VHS 94 and VHS. Okay, so he had a big hand in
hats
VHS.
off to him. Good job, man.
LOL, we totally planned this and we knew
JK, fooled
that
you.
he was
You thought.
on this. We were in the know the whole time.
Anyways,
We're so
okay.
smart.
We are the smartest two people in this room.
Yep,
We
that's
are.
right. Because no one else is.
Okay. So The Ritual, 2017, directed by David.
David.
Follows, I guess, a good little synopsis, give you a good backbone, is that we're following a group of, essentially 5 friends to start out with, that then turns down into a group of 4
After some tragic events.
after some very, disturbing, tragic circumstances. And we're following them on this trip to commemorate and do a tribute to one of their fallen friends. And along the way, we end up experiencing a whole bunch of creepy ass shit.
Some weird ass shit. Some straight
and
up
some
Blair Witch.
Yeah, I was thinking
Literally
that as well.
so much of this
A lot,
parallels.
yes. I have
I
some
was
notes
like,
in here
"Did y'all
about
get
that.
it? Did y'all get it?"
And then also
We got
to
copyright
just
issues?
like yeah, for sure. And then even just like going in between the dynamic between this group of friends and seeing how this whole story and how it affects their friendship, and then where we end up.
Very turbulent.
And very turbulent. And it's, at least for me, was a pretty
Entertaining.
entertaining and nice ride.
I literally, okay, well, I'll get to it. But
Okay. I know we always like to just, I want to go there.
I was
Okay.
like, I'm thinking of everything at once. Like and I can't say it all at once, but my
Yeah.
brain is like,
That's everyday life.
yeah.
Um,
I'm sure they can tell from our thought process of we jump around so much.
We do.
It's okay. We have fun. Pink, poke. Nope.
You owe me a Coke. Peach poke. You owe me a Coke. I win.
Pinks,
Okay.
pinks.
Nose goes. All right. So we start off basically and
In a nice and hazy lit dive
little
bar.
pub.
Yeah, pub.
And so
Because they're in London.
yeah. And so it's these group of friends. It's Robert, Hutch, Phil, Luke, and Dom. Yeah. And so they're discussing about where they want to take like this next trip to
Lad
go
trip.
to. Apparently they like, this is what they do, which is like cool for
It's like
them as a
when
group
girls'
of friends.
trips,
Yeah.
but
they
it's
take a guy's trip.
Guys trip.
And so they're like trying to decide if like they want to go to either Amsterdam or
Tuscany for
or
wine.
Ibiza. And
someone suggested brunch,
oh, that's
which
right.
Luke got very upset about.
Yeah.
He said, "I can't eat no goddamn brunch."
For real.
You know,
He still wants to
avocado.
rage.
He's having a good time.
Okay, so we're talking about how what's his name? What's his name? Luke. Luke still wants to rage and whatever, and he like wants to have a good time.
That's
and
why
so
he's going to go buy
another
some
bottle.
liquor.
Yeah, he still wants to keep going, and so he wants to stop at like this, I guess essentially grocery store, convenience store, and the only person who goes in with him is Robert.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, they're just kind of bullshitting around, and they're looking. Well, Luke is looking at alcohol, and then all of a sudden they notice that there's a girl, and the clerk, I guess she's literally beat, and then like crouched on the floor.
What I don't understand is they had a pretty long conversation.
They did before they noticed anything.
They were shooting the shit for hot second.
Yeah, and I guess the other the people who were robbing the place didn't hear them.
Which I was like, they weren't
in the back.
talking super quiet either.
And so they noticed that, and as soon as they noticed her, then like the burglars are coming out of like I guess essentially like a inventory room, maybe offices in the back. They were getting to a safe or to get some money, and so they come out and they notice Robert, and Luke is hiding behind a aisle at the end of one, at the cap of one, and
he hid as soon as he saw them come out, which
smart they don't see you first, but also
if only he would have pulled Robert. Yeah, but if Robert would have hid, because it's not Luke's fault.
He couldn't. Yeah. And so Robert is essentially caught in the crossfire, or not crossfire, but they see him and they're like, robbing him of his money, and they're trying to get his jewelry, and they want to get his wedding band, but he doesn't want to give it up, and he's like, you can't. I mean, y'all already got what you wanted. Y'all can just leave.
Which I would have been like, fuck yeah, you can take my wedding ring.
Yeah, honestly.
I can get another one. You can't get another.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing. I was like, I'm sure your wife would appreciate if you just
also,
like giving the ring away.
It's the wedding band.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a fat ass rock attached to it. Yeah.
It's literally a piece of like
gold
metal
in a circle,
essentially. So so he's not willing to give up the band, and one guy whacks him in the head with a bat. And
he goes down
hard. It was a pretty big thud. And if you think it was it was a metal bat, and I've actually been hit with a metal bat before, and those are like fucking brutal.
I mean, it sliced his whole cheek open. When he lifts his head again, you can see I was like, did I make that sound? You can see the whole like gash in his face, and it's just like when you've got like a jug of milk, and it's when it's like glug glug.
Oh, the chunky?
Well, not chunky, but just like the way
when you're pouring it out, the way it comes out.
Yeah, when it's really full and it's like glug, glug,
yeah, okay.
glug.
I get what you mean.
I mean, it could be any liquid, but that's the way it looked like it was coming, like it was pulsing out of his face, and it was just like, oh, it was.
That's a good analogy. Good job.
Yay. I was trying to describe
I haven't thought of milk like that in a long time.
No one's going to drink milk ever again.
I need to go home right now and get me some milk. Okay. And so, question. So basically Luke is kind of in the moment of all this happening. We're panning to him, and he's having this moment where he has to decide if like he's going to like stand up to them and help out his friend, or just do something.
I mean, at this point, his friend's face is, but
even right before he gets hit with the bat, he like has this moment of grabbing the bottle, of thinking like, I'm going to, attack.
Smash.
But he essentially does nothing and sits there and watches his friend get, murdered. But I think like, my question to you is like, what would you do?
So I wrote it later on in my notes because, they get into a little tiff about, I mean, what, like they're like blaming him for his death essentially.
Yeah. Later on.
And I put down, cause then also spoiler alert, we'll get there. But when Hutch gets kidnapped, monster napped, I don't know. But when he gets taken, they're like, Luke's going, and he's like, we have to go look for him. He's screaming, and Dom and them are like, we can't do anything. We need to go back to where we can and look for him in the day. Yeah. And it's like, you just did the same thing. Yeah. So they're saying those things to him, but no one can possibly know how they would react in that situation. And I would bet $1 million fucking goddamn bucks that Dom would have hidden as well. He would not. And he's the one who really goes after Luke for it. Yeah. That motherfucker would have hid.
I got the same
the
vibes.
moment he could have. Because he would not have done anything for his friend.
Yeah, Dom was not my favorite character at all throughout this
No,
entire film. I actually have a lot of notes where I like pretty much hate Dom.
Yeah, I have a note that says like I fucking hate Dom, and honestly, I would.
Had have offered him up.
Yeah, I was like, I would have sacrificed him already.
I would have cut an Achilles and just like left him there, so that way like it would have bought me an extra day.
Yep. I broke the same exact fucking thing.
So
But that close up of his face getting smashed, like the second time when
the bat
the like blow that kills him. It's really close on his face, and it's fucking brutal. I don't do faces getting smashed in. That is like one thing that freaks me the fuck out. I think because I also like won't punch people in the face. Not that I get in a lot of
fist fights. Oh wow, you rebel rouser.
But I've had like so many dreams where I punch someone in the face and then their whole face just caves in, and it is just terrifying. I am a sleep fighter. Anyways, but so then it really just cuts to, and they're now hiking in memory of him 6 months later.
Yeah. So they wake up in the tents, and then they're on this little hike in order to reach a peak to pay tribute to Robert since he died, and this is the trail that he wanted to do that he requested for the trip to be earlier in the movie.
And all of them were not super fond on the idea of hiking.
Yeah.
Maybe except for Hutch. He seems to be
like an outdoorsist.
Yeah. He seems like that was probably kind of his vibe.
Or he at least
Luke was like, really?
hunts.
You want to go hiking?
Yeah.
And Dom clearly didn't want to do shit. I'm pretty sure he's the one who suggested brunch. So that sounds right.
Yeah.
But I need to say real fast. So once Luke gets out of the tent and everything, there's this kind of loud whirring sound, like whirring, WHIRRING sound that's kind of happening. And it's really filling up like the silence. And then all of a sudden it cuts, and like the ritual is growing, like the actual title showing, and it's growing, and then it cuts to just absolute silence and goes back to Luke.
Yes.
And I just really appreciated that part. I will say I did not appreciate a lot of the music in this movie, though.
Okay.
I thought it was poorly placed and often confusing. Like I couldn't tell if that was a sound happening from something else
or from the score
or from them.
Okay, gotcha.
And so it just seemed a lot of the time a little too over the top. I noticed it too much.
You know what I was going to mention too is that I actually watched the movie with captions. With subtitles. Yeah. And so that kind of helped me at least to differentiate when it would be like, creature in background or something like this. Or,
well, there was still a few bangs and stuff that I was like, oh, is somebody like downstairs when they're in the house and stuff later on, that I thought maybe that someone had knocked something over downstairs. And then I realized it was in the score, and I was like,
just the music.
Yeah. There was just some bits are really nice.
Some bits worked, but some bits were a little like heavy on the hammer on the nail, like too much.
Yes.
Like, because then you can't tell what's really nuanced and what's like.
It was trying to make it, I think,
atmosphere.
Too jumpy in a few parts where, and I just, as I've said, like, I mean, we haven't watched Quiet Place, but I enjoy the silence in horror films.
So you want to hear my next note?
Yes.
I like the score. While they're searching for the spot on the top of the hill.
Okay, well, I don't think I had made that note yet, so
that's
I
just
think
that part.
There are some.
The rest of the movie is shite. That is just that only part, you guys.
No, there were some good moments, but there were some moments that definitely eclipsed it to the point where I was like, I took note of the fact that I didn't like the music.
I love it.
That's funny.
Yeah. No, hey, that's fine. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. That's what makes us the BooBaes. So yeah, they get up to the top of this, like what I call a hill, and they already have like a little memorial set up for Robert, and they are
all taking shots,
and then they pour one out, which is actually very.
I put pouring out all that whiskey for Robert in an awkwardly
awkward
slow fashion.
Awkwardly slow, and then also too, why all of it? Could have gave him a swig, and then save the rest for everyone else.
You can see in Phil's eyes at one point. He looks over. He's like,
"The fuck?
Oh, okay, all of it.
I know, right?
I wanted some more of that.
Literally only got one shot.
Because he got the first, so I bet you he was thinking, oh, let me leave some.
Yeah,
you know?
right? He's like, I should have took a bigger gulp.
If I knew you was going to throw it down.
And so Hutch threw it down the hatch. And so they get rid of all the, whatever. And then they're just there. And then Dom has this like little, like, this should have never happened kind of moment where it just kind of foreshadows the way that Dom just kind of feels this whole movie. Or at least for the bulk of this movie. And then after that, they decide to go into, they're
continuing their hike.
And then Dom hurts his
yes.
ankle or leg, right?
So, first off, these are my notes that I was trying to figure out which guy was which. So I put Dom as the hobbit looking type. Luke is our main guy. Phil's the dark curly haired one. And then Hutch, I put Hutch is tall, skinny one who finds the shortcut. Bad.
Yeah.
But as we're walking, they're talking, and this is Dom's one good moment, is when they were like, wouldn't you rather be doing or this? And then he says,
that's right.
he says you can lick my bridge. And they're like, the what? And then they start going like, the gooch.
The gooch.
And
the perineum.
Yes. The gooch. I put the gooch.
Like gooch.
And I also don't know if it was super cool for them to leave all that stuff in a like park.
Yeah, I don't know the
in
rules.
The
I don't go
wildlife.
camping.
Well, you're
In
definitely
Sweden,
not supposed to
nonetheless.
leave anything.
That's true.
You're supposed to, and you're also not supposed to take anything from parks. And
Yeah.
Natural like wildlife.
I feel like that's just bad juju too, taking anything from a park.
Yeah, you're supposed to leave nature the way you found it. But
it's
then
a preserve,
they left.
you guys.
They left a photo, a stuffed dog, the whiskey, the flask. They left a bunch of shit there, some candles, and I'm like, you're just gonna leave that on a rock? Okay, whatever. But
hopefully I don't know, a strong wind would just knock all that into the forest.
Yeah.
But I was like, it wasn't an open, clear area, but still. So they're walking, they're bullshitting around, right?
And then, yes,
just kind
Dom
of talking.
hurts his knee. He trips in like somehow
a hole or something.
It looked like he walked into a tree stump. And I was like, boy, you did that on purpose. And then you can clearly tell that a lot of them are like, okay, Dom, like
get the fuck up
over yourself.
Yeah.
Because
he's a little crybaby.
Yes.
He's a whiner.
And
The whole,
Hutch,
my comments is that he's fucking whining this whole movie.
Yeah. Hutch is already over his shit. He's like, I can almost guarantee you it's not as bad as he says it is.
Oh, yeah.
And
most definitely.
he's just going at him, which clearly,
Dom's tolerance for pain for me is that of like I can see a very like the lowest low. Like,
yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very like I've continued to like spin rifles with broken wrists before.
Yeah.
For a guard because I didn't want to be told to sit out.
I've got half a body right now.
I left my finger jammed in this position for a month because I didn't, and it was black.
Oh.
And I didn't want to but I didn't want to get told I couldn't spin for guard. So I just left it. And then once the season was over, I went to the doctor. They were like, what the hell?
Jesus Christ.
They popped it out. It was fine.
Good.
But like,
you still have it. Can I touch it? Do you feel it?
I do.
Okay, everybody.
Fingers still exist. But yeah, so Hutch falls, and then now they're thinking about how they are supposed to go around the mountain to get to the lodge where they're supposed to be staying. But Hutch is like, I can't do that. Which, I mean, yes. Dom. Yes, sorry. Dom's, and his knee later on does look pretty fucked. Like, it's bad. But, I mean, come on.
But that's understandable after everything
else that happens. Yeah.
But still before that,
So that's when Hutch and Luke are having a conversation, and that's when they decide to take a shortcut. As I said in the Blair Witch, never take a fucking shortcut.
Especially in Sweden.
Yeah.
Through the Norse woods.
Yeah, you don't know shit. What's happening there? You don't know. And so they're going in, and fucking, it seems to me that Hutch's compass malfunctioned.
Yeah,
because he looked at it and then he tapped it and went, And I was like, and then he just kind of shrugs it off and keeps walking. I was like, bro, you don't shrug off your compass malfunctioning.
That's like your lifeline right there.
Yes.
But definitely that is like one of those things where it's either, like in some certain scary movies where it's like the forest becomes, it has a life of its own and it starts messing with like the magnetic field of everything.
Yes.
And like technology.
The Blair Witch.
Exactly. And so, yeah.
The whole first half
At that
of this
point,
film
that should
is,
be like your biggest red flag.
it's like the Spark Notes of the Blair Witch. It's the whole
Literally.
first half of this film. And then they're like, but psych, it's a Norse god.
Blair Witch, but make it toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
very
so-
much that.
Anyways, when they were taking their selfie, I liked that they said 1, 2, 3, Brexit. I
Yes.
thought that was hilarious. And
That's
it was
good. A little
fitting
play
for
on the times.
2017.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's funny. So I put that. And then they stumble across the fucking elk strung up in the trees.
Oh, yes. Well,
with its innards
right
out.
before that, I also noticed that I also wrote that, or maybe it was right before they get into the forest, but it was kind of like
the
a bad
abandoned van?
The abandoned van.
Oh, yeah. I
the
put
Volkswagen.
abandoned van is always a good sign.
Yeah. Good, sarcastically.
Yes.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Then
ugh,
they walked
isn't
in.
that already an omen of like some people like died here probably?
Yeah. Also, how did that whole
Why is the
ass
van
get
here?
down there?
Literally, yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It was the
like,
summer of love.
What? How? They're just driving it over some fucking mountains. I don't think Volkswagens were made for that. But
They get then
they
they
stumble
find
across the elk.
You got it. The moose elk that's hung up, and I put in my notes like the Blair Witch,
Mm-hmm.
almost. But yeah, it's literally like not strung up, but like hanging by like the limbs and stuff.
And
And the
it's
tree.
it's a fresh kill.
Literally.
Luke points out, he's like,
That
the
blood
blood
is
still
fresh.
dripping.
Mm-hmm.
It's fresh. And he was like, that means we need to go.
And at that point, they're
My
like,
ass
also
would've
too,
turned
they're like,
around.
did a bear do this? Did like what animal? I'm like, obviously an animal does not do that
Yeah,
to
I was
a
like,
carcass.
this is very
That's-
unnatural. This is a supernatural
Yeah.
or someone
very
who
fucked
is,
up human shit.
it is Michael.
Yeah.
Michael has come in.
Michael
and
came
he's putting in the extra work again, helping Motor hang up her little victims. But this is where I put lots of Blair Witch vibes with so when they were walking in, they were counting food
Yeah.
that they like and drinks that they want. And one guy, Phil, says sushi, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
wait,
that is
you're
very
craving
Blair Witch.
sushi right now? Like that seems like an
I don't
odd
ever
time.
crave sushi, so it doesn't work.
Oh.
I don't.
I do like. Well, I mean, I guess what I eat is not
Relate.
technically sushi.
Mm.
It's just avocado and rice
Um,
rolled up.
But that is very Blair Witch, like when they're naming the things that they like and like the
Mhm.
pie with the ice cream,
And then we get the heavy rain.
just like the Blair Witch.
Yep.
Oh,
And then they find weird symbols carved into a
everywhere,
tree.
all the trees, they find
Yep.
these little symbols that are like a different language, obviously, and they're everywhere, everywhere.
So the main symbol with the triangle, I have a few lists of things that I want to
Mhm.
read at the end. But the main symbol, the triangle with like the two, or kind of diamond-esque shape with the legs coming off. That one, it represents elk.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
so it is saying that it's directly attached to Motor.
Yeah,
And because they are an elk-like creature.
being I have that too. The same for at the end when they have like the cross-looking things with the like that. It's like crosses, but instead of like a cross, it's like,
Yeah.
that also is, I guess, a thing for elk as well.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the signs, they're symbols put into the forest, like, again, very Blair Witch. And then what do they find? A house in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
As the rain has started and they're panicking, trying to find shelter because they haven't set up their tents or anything like that. And so they approach a house. Never approach.
Never in the
Fucking
cabin in the
house.
woods.
Yes, that you found in the forest because
Yeah.
also Blair Witch. So
Blair
literally,
Witch. Also, too, I mean, honestly,
Every horror
breaking
film
and
ever.
entering, like, you don't
they
know.
had to like
You don't know
straight up shatter that door.
You don't, and even though it looks abandoned, like someone could still very well be in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's just like one, just rude, and also just like big no.
White
Like
privilege.
and you're just gonna like freaking destroy it, and then also too like I said, you don't know who's in there. It could be like someone. Obviously,
With
there's
a shotgun on the other side of the
a
door, waiting
shotgun,
to blow you open.
literally. Or later on, we see
It's weird.
yeah, weird random people worshiping being a
Igor-looking
deity that fucking knocks you out. So yeah, they go into this cabin. They're trying to like I guess look around, snoop around through it, and then they get upstairs and they find this. Oh,
Right.
before yes,
So they're debating who to send upstairs, and
Oh,
I
that's
put
right.
LOL, they made the brown guy go
Always.
investigate first.
Always the brown guy.
I was like,
Always
man,
a
just like we
POC.
talked about last week too on Taking of Deborah Logan, Luis, they put poor Phil. Poor Phil had to go up there.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Up to the fucking
that
attic.
part's a little jumpy
Just
too
upstairs.
because we're like kind of holding our breath
Yes.
with him as he's up looking through kind of the other parts of this little tiny weird attic thing. Yeah, it's like the tiniest hallway into a room.
Yes.
And then fucking Dom breaks a chair and he jumps and then it kind of makes you jump too. And so I thought that
No,
was
that was
a
a good tidbit.
well-timed
Mm-hmm.
little scare there. I liked
It
it.
added to the ambiance. It added to you being kind of like on the edge of your seat, being like, what's going to be up there? Because at this point, you're already thinking like, nope, this is it. Especially because even, what's
Like,
his,
we've seen the Blair
Hutch?
Witch.
Is it Hutch? He's the one that says, then this is the house where we're all going to die.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like Hutch the whole time is like very non-believing.
Yeah. No.
Him and
well,
Dom. And then Phil.
Well, no, one of them says this is clearly the house we get murdered in.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have it quoted here. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it.
And
I
Hut-
don't know. Luke is already looking around because
Mhm.
he's. I have a note that says Phil and Luke seem to be the only two who are concerned.
Yeah, and Hutch is being a bit douchey at this point.
Yes.
And so they send him upstairs and he finds the freaking like statue, tribute, altar, idol. Yeah, I guess that's a good
It
word
gave
for
me
it.
very Hereditary vibes.
Oh, yes,
there.
sure did.
The ending, the last 15 minutes of Hereditary, gave me very similar vibes to that. But yeah, weird stick guy idol.
Yeah.
It looks like it's made of twigs.
I feel you.
right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
yeah. It
almost
looks
like
like
a
it's made of
straw
twigs,
man,
branches, straw man. Gave me like Wicker Man vibes, like stuff like
yes.
that.
And then without a head,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's got these arms.
That it go up, so they kind of look like antlers.
Yes, they go to antlers.
Yes.
Do-do-do-do. And that is the first somewhat like concrete visual that we have of what Motor
Looks like.
looks like.
Yes.
Which this is only, we find out, a very small part of Motor.
Oh yeah.
But
Fucking beast.
it's the first time that we get that imagery.
And
It's weird as
so-
fuck. I would not be like chill after that.
Yeah, and also the fact that they continue to stay there,
Yes.
even though it's raining. I get it, but like I would leave.
Yes, I would not.
leave
I would be like,
immediately because something
no.
obviously put that shit there.
Yes, it was weird.
That
and
is-
all of them were just like, and then Phil and Luke, again, this is where I put Phil and Luke seem to be the only two who are concerned because I would not be sleeping in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I put, would not be sleeping in there
Same.
after finding that sticky
Literally
thing.
put that. I was like staying. No, it's time to go. There's
Yeah.
so many red flags going off right now.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And so then we have them all sleeping there. Then we have like what to me at the beginning of it is a dream sequence that
Yeah,
Luke
I put
is having.
weird time glitch dream sequence.
Yeah,
for
and I
Luke.
put the light is giving me aliens, like the big
It
blinding
does,
white light
yes.
coming through the front of the windows. And so I was like, whoa. But then it goes to this dream sequence. And I actually really like the dream sequences
I
and
do
how
as
they
well.
like get meshed into the film and like the, how it's like half forest, half dream of like the grocery or
You've got the
convenience store.
convenience store, but then the ground is always dirt.
So
or-
it's like still kind of rooted, but in like where they're at, but still like giving you the dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and this is, as we'll later find out, Motor has the ability to not only shapeshift, but to also alter people's
minds. Make them
And-
dream things, think things, see things.
As we also find out later, when everyone decides to be honest with themselves, that they saw essentially what is kind of their
Their
most,
future.
I would say, their biggest fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because his was definitely his past.
yes.
But I think it's what they are worried about and or have like they're constantly hung up on, and it is
Their
what
conscience.
breeds them the
Yeah.
most, I think.
Yeah.
And it's
So I have my theory of how I was feeling about that throughout the whole movie, and then there's something else that I read up and picked on where there's another theory of that on that. But I think I'll wait to talk about it when we get to the end of it. Okay. Yeah. Just pin note that. Remind me to talk about that. I'm probably gonna fucking forget. And so we're having the dream sequence, and then Phil gets attacked by Motor.
all of a
the
sudden
creature.
his surroundings start moving
Yeah.
and in unnatural ways. Like the liquor shelf flies backwards, and then all of a sudden he's awake in the natural realm, and you're seeing something fleeing through the trees. There is some motion that's happening. Once the convenience store shelf flew, this thing also flew away from him.
Yeah.
And then, yes, that's when he realizes he has been injured. And it turns out to be a marking.
Yeah.
Marking him, which will...
He said, "You mine.
Yup.
You mine forever, baby.
And
you ain't ever getting nowhere."
so then he's like, "Oh, that's fucking weird." And he goes back inside after he hears Hutch screaming, like just freaking the fuck out. And he's like, "Oh,
he comes
shit."
to.
And he's going, and he goes back inside. They're all having terrible, terrible nightmares.
Yes.
Hutch has,
Soiled himself.
yes, once he wakes
Peed.
up, he realizes, oh, wow.
Pissed his pants.
Then they find Dom in the corner, like
Just
groveling and saying, like, no,
Gail.
Gail, his wife's name, freaking out about that. And then they're like, "Where's Phil? Where's Phil?"
yes.
They all run upstairs, and
Find
Phil.
Phil booty naked.
yeah, butt ass
In his
naked,
birthday suit.
worshiping.
With cuts all over him, right? That's what I thought.
He
I said.
looks
Yeah.
a little beat
You have
up.
like cuts is all over him. And
Worshiping the
the idol.
idol.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's where I put very Hereditary vibes.
Yeah. And I put Phil is fucked
Yeah.
on my notes.
And so then they're like, "Okay, let's just keep going." And I was like,
at
"Y'all
that
still
point-
aren't thinking of going back?"
And
What
at that
the hell?
point, still they weren't.
Listen to Luke.
And at that point, they weren't even talking about the nightmares or what was happening. And so I was like, "Wait, we're not just gonna talk about how y'all were all just like literally
in the most
scared
vulnerable state
out
that
of
you've
your
ever been in.
lives. Like you literally peed your pants. You were upstairs naked. Like we're not
You're
gonna talk about
attacked.
this.
Yeah.
Like what?
And that in that scene too, we also see Dom's knee is pretty fucked.
And it, yeah,
because he's
yes,
pantless
yes.
and- yeah.
And then yeah. So it gave me very like where I was like, come on, let's not be toxic guys here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, let's talk about our feelings. Like obviously some shit went down.
And
Let's
it's
air it
okay.
out. Yeah.
And this is where I put Heike hate Dom and would sacrifice him.
Yeah.
Because he's just saying, like, they're trying to talk about it, and no, they just keep saying, like, stop, like, let's not talk about this.
Yes.
Bullshit ghost stories. You know, Hutch
Hutch is just like, I'm just worried about getting out of here. Like that's it.
yeah,
Like
and Hutch is like, I literally pissed myself,
yes,
so
I don't want to
do
talk
not
about
wanna
it.
talk about
yeah.
this.
And I'm like, maybe this is the exact reason why you should talk about it.
Yeah, because clearly something scared the piss out of you.
Yeah.
Literally. And so they're just being very not
Yeah, they're
smart.
not acknowledging
They're just
like
being
what's
dumb
happening.
as fuck. And then they find this path. Dom's like, "Well, look at this path." And they were like, "Path leads to civilization." And I put, "Yeah, y'all don't want that
The wrong
civilization that is
civilization.
at the end of that path.
Literally.
It is a bad idea." So they start following the path. Phil's continuing to talk about it. He's like, "Nah, like this would
Yeah.
not, I have never done anything like that. I don't care what has happened, the circumstances." He was like, "Something is not right."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You tell him, Phil, you tell him."
Phil at this point knew everything was wrong, and also his mental state was like cracking in our very eyes.
Yeah, you could see the little slips for each of them where they're starting to be like, "Okay, this is not okay," because
they're getting
they've been-
scared.
Yeah,
And they're freaking out.
as they fucking should be.
But even so was it like right after when they were leaving the cabin though, they noticed that all the markings again were on the trees. Do you remember that? And then all the trees were down. Like at that point too, I'd be like, no. Like
Yeah.
there's
'Cause
obviously
at that point someone's watching you.
yeah.
Someone or something
someone,
is hunting you.
And that's not cool.
Yeah, you're being observed. You have been literally attacked. But Dom says you ran into a tree.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
And that he-
you ran into a tree and it put 5 puncture wounds into your chest.
And that he did it to himself. Like, why would I do that to myself? Yeah.
No. Yeah, Dom. I think that's why I put Heike hate Dom and would sacrifice him, because I was like, ran into. Oh, nuh-uh. They end up following this trail though, and
Yes.
they end up what I thought at first was the same house, but I think it is an identical house.
Yes. Identical.
And so they are not actually going in a circle like in the Blair Witch, but they do end up in a similar situation, and they are at this house again, and they're like, oh, "Okay, something's weird."
Yeah.
And now Phil is Hutch is talking about pulling rank, because Dom's keeps being like, "Let's follow this trail. Let's follow this trail."
Yeah.
And Hutch is like, "Southwest is this way at the top of this ridge. We need to be following up there." And so Dom has to then stop again for
because
his
of his
knee.
knee. Yeah.
And so
And that's when Hutch is like, fucking suck it up
yes.
and let's keep going.
Yeah. And then Luke is like, I'm going to go check up at this ridge.
Mhm.
And he gets up there, and it's not a ridge.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
Well-
just more forest.
Well, and you know what? It also could have very well been a ridge, but like Moldar was making him seem or making it look like it wasn't. And it just looked like
It's true.
more and more forest and forest and forest.
That's true. Because then as we stare, there's so many times too where I feel like you got to have like eagle eyes in this film because Luke is just staring out at the forest and you
Yeah.
can tell like, fuck, I'm supposed to be seeing something. But I was like, my blindness.
I had
can't
to
see it.
rewind it like 2 or 3
For
times. I
this
had to
one,
3 times
for
on
this
that part.
scene,
Mhm.
I saw it. I
Okay.
saw it. But there are other times where I thought, okay,
Okay.
maybe am I missing something? But this one I saw it like because it's there and you kind of see the hand peeking around the tree
Mm-hmm.
and you go, that's a little weird, but then it moves.
If
The
anything,
hand
yeah.
slides back and it goes,
This-
whoop,
Yeah.
nope.
So this scene like
And then it scurries up.
is like what I feel like I would recommend people like just at least if you're gonna watch the movie and you think at some point like I'm not gonna sit through this whole thing, like just at least wait until this scene happens and then you can decide if you want to continue watching the movie or not.
Yeah.
Because this was like I really enjoyed the scene and
I
the
like
way
the
it like
scene a
made
lot.
me feel.
Yeah.
Like it's so creepy. It's so like I imagine myself in that like situation,
I would've-
and I would have shat and pissed myself, and like
I would have already
would've- yeah.
jumped off the mountain somehow.
Literally,
Like,
it is
come
so
get me.
scary the way that this hand, like at first you don't notice it, but then it just slips away.
Yeah.
And then you hear like the music, or not the music, but like the sound effects, and then he just starts running, and then it's just so good
But
in
the whole creature scurries
producing
up
that
the
fear.
tree.
Yeah, and
too,
it's so
which is
good at producing that fear, and yeah, love it.
it was very well executed.
And so Luke, I mean, freaks out.
Oh yeah, that's a fat hard pass from me.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so he runs back.
He runs back and he's
Freaking
yelling
out.
at them, telling them that they gotta go. He saw something in the wood. There's something out there. And nobody's really listening to him, and they're dismissing it. And then,
This is
especially
where-
Dom, that's where this like whole scene erupts. Where, first Luke is like blaming Dom for his knee, and they would have never just blaming him for like being a little shit, basically.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever Dom is like, well, we wouldn't be here if he wouldn't have fucking murdered Robert.
Yeah.
Essentially, he doesn't say that, but he's like,
Yeah, that's
because
not
he did
verbatim.
nothing.
But
Yeah.
he's saying what
He
he's
blames
thinking.
him for his death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Luke, like, that definitely puts a jolt into him. And then
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like looking and he's like,
He's like,
is that what all of you think? Like,
Mhm.
and then they're all kind of like debating whether or not to say yes or no, which Hutch had already told him. He didn't blame him.
He doesn't.
But then later on, right after the scene, he goes, I don't know.
Well, I think it's also too, I mean, they're sleep deprived, they're scared, they've been in the woods. And so I think that starts playing into your psyche. But I'm pretty sure Hutch didn't like blame him.
Yeah.
But at that point,
He's not sure what he's thinking.
yeah, exactly.
At this point, through the whole fighting scene, which I just personally enjoyed it because Dom kind of gets his ass beat.
Yeah.
But I think Luke's actor, I don't have his name on hand, I'm sorry, was a fantastic actor in that scene. He did such a good job. The way that his voice was breaking and saying like, no, fuck you. Like, you're not my friend anymore
yeah.
because you're saying this shit about me. Like, clearly we were never friends. Like,
Yeah.
or I don't think he says that, but clearly like,
Yeah.
you know, like if you were blaming me for this and he's like, fuck you. Like, I thought he did a really wonderful
Especially
job
because it's
there.
freaking Dom. And it's like,
Yeah.
what the hell would you have done, Dom?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's my next note is I said, this is what I said earlier. I said I would bet all the money in the world that Dom wouldn't have done shit either. I said none of them can say for certain how they would have reacted because they weren't in that situation.
Yeah.
Almost, it's human nature. Like we saw Squid Games. People are going to save their own skin.
For sure.
That's what's going to happen. Very, very rarely you get truly selfless people who are going to sacrifice themselves for you. But I mean, for the most part, it is true. If you stay hidden and can go get help.
It's probably a safer bet.
Yeah.
Because
And you have a more
not
likely chance
only
of actually saving the individual.
because your life then is not it's kind of like the whole like when you're in an airplane and like the airbags come down, it's like mothers like put your airbag on first and then help a child, because how are you gonna help a child if you can't,
If you're
like
not
you're
breathing.
incapacitated? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. But also too, I feel like I would like have thrown the bottle.
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
that
if it
time.
was like, I was trying to think, of like our wall group. So Nancy, Sonia, you, like, and just being like, what I do. I mean, I think because like, I don't know.
I would have jumped in.
I would have as well. Or at least I'd like to imagine.
Yeah,
that I
but then
would've.
again, we never know. We haven't been
Because
in that
some
situation.
people can
thankfully.
completely freeze,
Yeah,
which is a totally natural and valid response. Because your body, at some point, your brain's going to take over and say, no, motherfucker, we're not moving.
it's that fight or-
Self-preservation.
Yeah, that shock response. Yeah.
Fight or flight.
So yeah, that fight or fight response.
They continue on their hike, though, after they've
Mhm.
fucking gone through that whole fighting scene. And they come to a little area and they find what they see that is some fabric in the
Yeah.
ground. And they're like, what is it? So they start to dig it up. Lo and behold, it's a tent. It's a tent, and it has the wallet of some individuals in it, who I
Mhm. A
believe is
family
the
of
girl
4.
who,
Yes, she's the blonde girl.
yeah, tells him some little tidbits later. But
So it's a family. It's like mom and dad and a son and a daughter.
kids, yeah.
Yeah. And they find their tent. They find the wallet. Find the
the
credit
debit
card. The debit
expired
card.
in 84.
84. Yeah.
Mhm.
Shout out to everybody who was born in 84. Deuces.
But 84, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Essentially what I'm assuming is 2017 for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine it's got to be around the same time.
Yeah.
But so that
Already there is a bad sign of like,
yes,
damn.
that like, oh wow, because also it was miraculously well preserved.
Wasn't it for
For
that long of it?
84, I was
all
like,
those
It's
years?
been like 20 years, and
Yeah,
it's-
to be that shallow on the ground and stuff too, like
Mhm.
not even buried under that much stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, that's a little vicious, but whatever. Yeah,
I mean, granted, the debit card maybe I see, but like the photo family, that was the picture of the family in there. I'm like, I feel like water and like you wrote like stuff
Things
would have
would've
like changed that
fucked
picture.
it
Like,
up,
yeah,
yeah.
it'd be totally not. You wouldn't see it clearly like you did.
but this is Hollywood, and
So
it's allowed.
and it pushes the plot and the story further along, and it makes us feel ooh and ah.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to see this family, and they're like, oh my god, 84, yada yada. So
They set up they set up
Tents,
camp
yes.
for the night.
because it's getting dark.
And at this point, they're administering some like care to Dom's knee, and I was like,
Mhm.
I put a note.
That's
I was like,
true,
Dom's
yeah.
knee is looking fucked up.
Yeah, and
And
then
They're
Go.
kind of sharing food at this
Mhm.
point, and then I have a note that I was like, they are 1,000% being hunted.
mhm.
Something is following them, and then it cuts to like after all the little chit chat and stuff that's not super relevant. They wake up. We wake up with Luke in the
Yes.
tent, hearing
Something outside of the tent.
heavy footsteps
Mhm.
and some growling coming.
That was really scary.
It was. So the when Luke then goes to unzip his tent, I jumped
Yeah.
because the
The zip was really loud.
it was really loud. It came from
I
the
think
silence.
they did that on purpose.
Yes.
Yes, right.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was a beautiful jump scare, but
Chef's
my
kiss.
my whole body went, oh, and then I was like,
Well,
oh my god, I
flinched.
just flinched.
You clinched.
I did. I was like, oh. So I had a note. I was like, Luke unzipping the tent scared me. LOL.
Cute. But yeah, no, I feel that because that scene for me was very frightening as well,
It
and also
was.
Blair Witch vibes.
Yes, yes. But he comes out and he's starting to slip in between reality
Mhm.
again.
It's another
The
dream
thing
sequence.
is fucking with his head.
Or
It's-
yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. They're not even dream sequences. It's just like
Yeah.
his mind. Yeah.
yeah. At this point, his thoughts are being manipulated,
Mhm.
and he is seeing things that are not there. And then when he finally comes to, he sees Phil is like sitting there screaming and like hitting the ground and stuff. And then that's when they realize Hutch is missing.
Yeah. Well, because Phil is actually saying he took Hutch. There was something here, and it took Hutch.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
then
I
you just,
couldn't.
yeah,
discern
because
what he was saying.
you can't really tell because he's like like being
He's
hysterical.
wailing,
He's
yeah.
hysterical, and Hutch is taken, and all of a sudden you just hear like it's dark, and you just hear Hutch screaming in the background, and they're like, oh my god, and that's whenever Luke is. Well, they go running for him.
Yes.
Trying to search for him.
Yeah,
look for him.
immediately they all do 3 take off,
Yes.
but then they are like, look, we can't do anything for him in the dark. We can't get separated from our tent because then they will be fucked. Like, it is all logical. Everything that they're saying is logical.
Yeah, and overall, it's just a really horrible situation to be in.
Yes, not ideal at all. And that's what Heather and Mike did.
Yeah.
And Blair Witch as well. Sorry, but this is Blair Witch
2.0.
So I'm gonna keep calling back Blair Witch. But so it cuts to them. They're waiting. It's still the morning, and they get up and they start hiking.
Yes, we're going back on this hike.
Yes, and that's when
they find their poor baby boy Hutch.
Strung up in the tree
just
with
like
his
the
insides
elk
torn
moose
out.
thing, like they saw earlier. So that was a foreshadowing moment for them. But yeah, and obviously it was put in their place, in their way.
Yes.
That they would be going.
Phil later says,
yeah,
this thing was placed here they knew.
It knew we were coming this way.
Yeah. And I put Phil speaking straight facts down.
Literally. Phil knew what was up.
Unfortunately, Hutch had a lot of the supplies on him, so they had to cut Hutch down, and they had to go through the dilemma of whether or not they are going to bury obviously they can't bury, but like Dom is like, we can't just leave him here. This way.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But they had to take his body down, obviously, because that's nicer.
Yeah.
To get the
get all the stuff off of
him. And then I think Dom covers him with twigs.
Yeah. Basically.
He's like, okay, fine.
Have it in their own way, this little memorial to him. And then we have them, I guess, continuing on, right?
Yep. And this is where I put some of the music is distracting and poorly placed. So apparently around this time, I found it annoying enough to take note.
Gotcha.
But
this is where they get to like the fork in the trail, right?
Yeah. So they come to the little like water area and they see that, okay, like there's clearly some civilization down that way, and they're like not gonna go. Now they've got the idea like, okay, maybe we don't want that.
That's right. Yeah, they see the little posts in the ground or something. That's right.
That are burnt.
Yes.
And
yes.
Then Luke goes up and he can see out of the forest and he can see down, and then he sees these little flames inside the trees, which we later find are those little posts that are
lit on
fire,
basically like little pathways.
Yes, leading to the
village
civilization.
Of people. Yes.
And so they're continuing along that, but while they're going, they are kind of bickering when he comes back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the creature has taken Phil.
Phil is gone.
And he eats him right up.
Why not? Before Phil is like, we heard something.
Yeah.
Snatch.
And then snatch. And then you get the flashlight whopping all over the place.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's the way that I kind of saw red for like half or 2 seconds. So I was like thinking maybe that was a blood going in front of like the flashlight, and it gave like this good little like filter. I don't know if they did that on purpose, or that was just me seeing red, but I was like, oh, that's his blood like spilling out everywhere.
We'll give it to him.
And so then we have Luke and just about to call him Judd, Dom running around because they got separated and they're like being panicked and scared. And then
Luke runs into a tree.
Yeah, Luke runs into a tree. Oh, and that's where I was like,
a
note like that. Again. That's how my nose, like when I hit my nose at BSR and I ran into a tree, and now it's got this little crooked bend to it.
You can't tell, I promise.
And so hits the tree, and then we're back at the convenience store, right? Little mind trickery going on.
And then that's when it cuts back and Phil is gone because the flashlight drops from midair, drops to the ground. And that's how we know, okay, Phil, I mean, obviously he was already like pretty fucked, but now it's like,
caps.
Oh, he got
Phil dead.
Phil dead.
Phil dead.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
And then he's sitting there looking for him, and then he finds Dom hiding
by a tree. That scared me whenever he sees Dom, and he's like,
yeah, because
I jumped.
Dom's little face looks kind of creepy, poking out through those branches.
So
I would have fucking screamed.
I was scared.
But then they keep shining the light out, and I put, keep shining that light out so it can find you, motherfuckers. And then I put Treebeard, because as they're sitting there waiting, the forest starts shaking, and it reminds me just of like
Hobbit,
when Treebeard comes up in
Lord of the Rings.
Yep. and he's coming to get
What are you?
my two faves.
Hobbits? I've never heard of a hobbit.
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought that was funny. But then they see antlers, and then it's clear that this thing is as tall as some of the trees because it's moving like
It's big.
it's moving the
She a big
tops of the
beast.
trees. Yeah,
She
And
a
so
whole
it's
lot
like,
of thing.
Oh, fuck. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And then now they run away. They limp away.
Oh, especially Dom
Yeah, and they're going and they end
Running
up
and running
following these lights,
until they get to those little fires, and then they find
and then
fucking
they
Phil.
find Phil strung up.
on a tree once again placed and like almost
He
like
was impaled,
yeah.
much as
Oh yeah.
some others are later, but he was just
But it also too was like set up in the way of like it almost like made them like kind of like a
Turn.
wolf shepherding sheep
Yeah.
lambs to the slaughter. That's what I was getting.
they're being herded. Yeah, and so that's when they go and they're running and they go stumble upon into another house with someone praying to a stone, which I've got a fact about that later. And then this old lady like knocks them out, or they all get knocked out, and then they wake up chained to the walls in this what I'm assuming is a basement, first level. I guess it's the first level
It
because
seems
he
like a
can
first
see
level
out
because
the
I can
wall.
see outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So chained up though.
Yep.
They're chained up, and the weird old lady who I put looks like Igor. Like,
Comes in.
she's trying to give them food and drink. Well,
You know
to
what she
Luke.
was giving me? Have you ever seen the Crudes?
Yeah,
She gave me the grandma.
that.
That's
vibe.
what she was
Yeah.
giving me.
Hold on, I'll look up.
But like demented.
Yeah, not pleasant grandma.
Mm-hmm.
But she's trying to give them food and tries to give.
Give him water.
Yeah,
She
But-
gives it to Luke, but denies it to
Dom. She
and then
says
that's whenever
no.
Luke is like asking why not, I think, or something like that, or something. But she shows him her mark on her chest too.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, he's been marked. See, look, it reminds me of Igor from
Oh,
the Young
okay.
Frankenstein.
Gotcha. It does, yeah.
She reminds me of that. But yes, she shows that she's been marked, and they say, no food for you, for
Yeah.
Dom.
Because he's a horrible person. And so then,
And then the way that she kind of like, the way that hers is healed, you realize it's the same sign that's on the trees that he's been marked with.
yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay. But then they go and they break Dom's nose because earlier when they were fighting, Dom's like, you broke my nose. And Hutch is like, it's not fucking broken. Get
Yeah.
up. And then I was like, ooh, now his nose broken
It's
though
come
because
up
they
and-
smacked
little-
him.
Roundabout.
So Dom is essentially taken away and is
Taken upstairs.
tortured.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is brought back. And obviously, fucking Luke can't do shit. He's chained up to a wall.
Yeah.
So he's just like having to listen to his friend like cry for help.
That was a pretty brutal scene.
That
I would
was.
say, listening to him just screaming and wailing.
Yeah. At this point, I started getting a little bit of sympathy for Dom. I was like,
just a
oh,
smidge.
maybe
a
you shouldn't
smidgen,
die.
Curmudgeon.
But he gets back down,
Yeah.
and Dom understands that he's gonna die. And this is when he says he discusses his nightmare.
His
And
dream.
he says that he had a nightmare that he was offered to this beast, and then Gail came in and he was worried about her and stuff. And so that I just put, yet this motherfucker still said Phil was being crazy.
Yeah.
He said that it's just denial, but
Basically.
still, ooh, why did you have to go do that, boy? Like, why couldn't you have been honest from the get? Because clearly,
It's Dom.
clearly this was not just some supernatural thing. Like,
Those are Dom vibes.
or crazy shit, because it happened to you.
Yeah.
But I do love the scene where he tells Luke, he says, you live, you tell my wife
Yeah.
I love her, and that
Tell
I
her-
tried to get back to her.
Yeah.
And then he says, and you burn this place to the ground. And foreshadowing.
And essentially that's what ends up
Luke
happening.
does.
Yes.
And so I really did like that scene. I thought that was good. I was like,
I liked
okay,
it too.
Dom,
Yeah.
good job. Whatever.
Maybe one redeeming quality, but
Yeah.
not so much.
That and the gooch.
It's the way that, okay, so what I was mentioning
Was
earlier.
it the taint?
It was.
That's another word, right?
I think yeah, so that is.
Okay.
And so for me earlier, what I thought essentially was like Modor playing or reeling at people's like conscious, like their deepest, darkest secrets, I guess, what I was getting at, is at the beginning, I'm thinking like Dom murdered someone named Gail. Like, because at that point there was no mention of what his wife's name or anything like that. So someone like Gail was someone he murdered.
I feel like they mentioned his wife's name or his wife enough that I was able to. I mean, I immediately was like, "Oh, that's his wife."
His wife. Yeah. I was like, no, because the whole time I was thinking he murdered someone named Gail, and he gave me those vibes, like creeper, like. And then I felt like that probably could have been an interesting plot line as well.
Yeah.
But then there was also essentially, like you said, because. What's his Dom saw that being his future, that's also what Phil and Hutch were seeing as well.
Oh yeah,
and
possibly,
what they were afraid of in their dreams was their ultimate like demise.
Phil ended up
Mm-hmm.
worshiping it. But at this point, they take Dom out and they are offering him up as a sacrifice.
Yes.
And he is tied to some little stake, and you see the trees coming up, and oh, wait, but before that, Luke, as we have had so many films, getting out of restraints, nasty ass things.
Oh, gosh.
Motherfucker breaks his thumb
yeah.
so he can then bend his hand more to
escape.
get it out of the restraints. So that was like, ooh.
Which the whole movie, too, is kind of a good character arc. Not even an arc, but just like a good trajectory and growth for Luke's character, because it starts off with him being like
kind of a dickhole.
Well, not even that, but like in the scene with Robert where he's in the convenience store and he chooses not to do anything. He's so like in fear that he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas going through
now
this,
he's definitely
he starts
taking
action throughout the entire
Took action
going
for
towards the
Hutch.
end.
He's trying to get to Dom.
And it's the whole movie, and when we get to the end, it's like there's so much development. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm here for Luke.
No, Luke's storyline, it's very good. Coming of age in a matter of 4 days or
Literally.
6 months. I don't know.
3 hours.
Yeah. But then it pans back to Dom tied up. And at this point, he's kind of like loose in his shit. And he's like, just fucking do it. Like, I would.
Why are y'all doing it? Fucking kill me already. Yeah.
And you see the trees moving, but then from the trees emerges Gail, his wife. And she's coming up and he's like, Gail. And then she's like holding his face. And then her eyes kind of, they change.
Yeah.
And then
they're glowing.
Then it changes to
into the beast.
This weird little,
Modor.
same, it looks again like this fucking, what are those things from, God, what are they called in Star Wars? I said last time too. Oh. And like
I think I know what you're talking about.
The third episode,
like the sand people.
Yeah, but the little ding 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 ding
Yeah.
and Spaceballs. What the fuck is their name? I can't think. Oh well.
It was giving me very like, I don't know what it is that I've seen this from, and it might be an anime, it might not be, but like there's a spider that has a face on its belly. That's what it's giving me.
There's in Demon Slayer. There's some spider people.
Can't see me, but I'm doing my pinchers.
Little pinchers. So it shifts, and we get the first look at Motor herself in all of her glory.
Yeah.
And I was like, just some sort of weird deer creature looking thing.
So I have some notes on that, on Motor real quick. So essentially, Motor is a child of Loki. Loki, obviously from...
Which we find out earlier from the girl from the tent photo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Did we find out that Motor is the bastard child of Loki?
Yeah. So, so we get Dom. Sorry, he gets. Actually, yeah.
Oh
let's
wait,
continue.
actually, we don't find that out yet.
It's about to happen. So let's hear you do it.
Okay.
So we see Dom getting sacrificed essentially by Motor, getting put up on the tree.
It picks him up and it looks like it's gonna smash his head in two. Like I was like waiting for his brains to pop out, even though I've already seen this. I was like, oh fuck, his brain's gonna come out. But then she impales him.
Yeah.
Hangs him up on a tree like a little meat hook. Aw.
Yeah.
Bring it
It
back
gives
to
me very.
Leatherface.
It does.
Or I keep thinking of Olaf when he runs it. Oh look, I've been impaled.
I've been impaled. Oh, it's so cute.
That, if nothing else was good about Frozen, where I love
that's
Frozen.
where it's at.
But that scene, loved it so much. I love Olaf. Anyways.
Do you want to build a snowman?
I do. Not really. I fucking hate snow. Get the fuck away from me, snow. But yeah, so then Homegirl comes in and he's like, what is happening? What was that thing? And she lets him know that she says Motor, the name. And says
he's an ancient god.
She. I thought it was a he the whole time.
Well,
too.
she. I'm they. Let's not assume gender.
No, it's a female.
It's a female?
It is a
okay.
female.
Okay.
Yes,
cool.
Motor literally translate to mother.
Oh, okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yes, she is mommy.
Okay. So, mommy, Modar, she is a
Bastard
offspring of Loki,
which
along
is
with some other
not
children of Loki.
just Marvel, like Thor and Loki are actually
based off of
Nordic
mythology.
Norse mythology.
My bad. Yeah.
And
Mythology.
blah, blah, blah.
And so Loki
She's a troll-like
apparently
creature too.
Yeah, troll-like. She's a Jotunnar of Jotunheim, which is like giants and trolls.
Jotnar.
Loki liked to get around and basically messed around with like an elk-looking thing.
He's very mischievous.
Yes, very
That's
mischievous.
like his whole thing.
And then obviously had some other
Be a
kids.
player.
And just like Loki,
like Percy Jackson.
Yeah, and just like Loki, Motor has like the way that it can affect like people's mind, like almost an illusionist and stuff, and make you see what it wants you to see.
And also has the ability to give them immortality.
It does,
which is what they're saying to Luke. She's saying you will pray to Motor, or you will be killed.
You die.
But
yeah.
And he said, why me? Like, why have I been marked? And she says, because you have great pain.
Yeah.
And you will be allowed to live. We will erase that pain from you. And then you can live forever.
Yeah.
Is essentially what that mark meant. And it's, I mean, I don't know, if I was in great pain, I don't think I'd want to live forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
I struggle
same.
with this on a daily basis.
But apparently, like, it's supposed to, like, cleanse you of your pain and all that stuff. Like, your saving grace kind of thing. And, like, worship Motor and, like, all is well, all is good, you know? But obviously not.
It's not.
And
it's
so...
really not.
Yeah, you're being forced beyond your will to worship. And so...
and she says, your ritual will happen soon. So he's like, oh, time's a ticking. I gotta get out.
So he manages to then actually get out of his restraints, and then he's sneaking through the house to try to get out. Which at this point I'm like, why aren't these floorboards squeaking? It's like creaking.
Well, my closed captioning said creaking floorboards.
I didn't hear it. See, okay, and mine didn't go off.
But
they were there, and so then he finally goes upstairs, right? And that's when he finds the
because he keeps hearing some growling.
That's right.
Or like noises, strange noises coming from upstairs. And then also he's kind of forced upstairs because someone is coming through the door. And so he's like, okay, fuck, I gotta get up there. And so he goes up. He gets a torch from inside the room, but he opens the door and there is some sort of, almost looks like a church service of dead people.
Yeah.
It's like they're lined up in pews, or like that one scene in Halloween Town where they're all in the theater.
Oh yeah, Halloween Town 1.
The
yes,
original, yeah.
Yes, I remember. And they're all like watching the screen of like Vortex and Doom. Yes.
It's kind of like that, but there's a person at the center who is a borderline skeleton. These people look mummified.
Yes.
And essentially what it is that is what immortality gets you.
Looks like, yeah, because
you're living forever, but your body
still ages.
It's not beautiful.
It's like dying.
Like
it's like basically
Twilight
a corpse. Yeah, no.
Something.
So you basically turn into what almost looks like those like twig-looking branch idol-looking things were.
Yeah, with like, you know, like when you get like a bacon wrapped chicken or something.
That's what they look like to you. Yeah. Okay, I can see what you mean. Sure.
Yeah,
okay.
Really
but yeah, they're looking a little crispy and they ain't cute. And
No,
it's
they're
definitely not how you want to live, because then you're there just like stuck in the attic, just like fucking worshiping forever. Can't even do anything.
Yeah.
And you're just old.
So Luke sets them out of their misery and stays true to his promise to Dom,
kill.
which he said he wasn't gonna. He was like, I'm not gonna do that because you're gonna live. But he then literally sets this place on fire, sets them on fire, and then I think one of the people like does something, and I think I jumped again. Oh yeah, because someone ends up. I put the little jump scare of the person breathing made me jump. So
okay, yeah.
at one point,
when they
someone
were dead,
goes
yes.
like, and I was like, oh yeah, because it was all
they
quiet.
were inanimate for a good while, and then he saw
Then
them
it
like
breathes. Yeah. And
yeah.
I jumped there too. So this movie made me jump twice,
Good job.
which I was like, okay, good
Hats
job.
to you, Ritual.
I guess some of the score was good enough. But then he's like, okay, I've set fire here. Let me go downstairs.
Yes.
And he runs into the weird Igor looking lady. This is where I said, LOL. He punches weird Igor looking lady in the face.
Yeah,
She's at the
got
base
her
of the
comeuppance.
stairs, and then he's like, thump.
Yeah, hits her so hard.
She thuds.
Bam, you hear it too. And so she goes down.
It's kind of funny.
I loved it too. It was funny, but I also lived for it too because I'm like, yes, knock her
Yeah.
out. I would have done the same
Get
thing.
the fuck out of there. Mm-hmm.
And so then he ends up coming across the other bald guy, right, as he's trying to escape, and he gets that. Well, he finds this gun before doing so, shotgun, and then he runs into this one guy, and then he tries to shoot him, but then like the little
Blank round.
yeah, blank round or something gets jammed, and so then he has to like
It clicks. There was an empty round.
and
Yeah.
as soon as he gets it back together, as this one guy's like approaching him, he shoots him, and that dude just goes flying back.
He does.
Yeah.
Which is
With shotguns,
would
yeah.
happen with the shotgun. So
From the forest. And so then it's the way that Luke is coming out, and he's like pointing at that one dude, and that one dude is obviously not phased at all by Luke because he's
No.
looking out the door at the beast that's outside. Killing the blonde girl.
Yeah, killing her.
Who, you know, I think because whenever Luke started setting everything on fire, the beast got really upset, the creature Modar, and kind of came and was just like, well, how could y'all let this freaking happen, and started killing everybody.
and it's because I feel like it's because she kind of leaked information about what was going to happen, and it wasn't an organic process.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Motor knew and punished her for
Yeah.
that. And because now essentially their entire everything that they've
Worked for.
all the people that they've worked to capture and worship them are gone.
Yeah.
And so then he encounters Motor, and we see the face with the arms. We see
Yes.
it again coming in, and he's like, nope.
So runs right under it.
So he goes, he breaks through.
Or no,
a
yeah, he
wall.
breaks through the other side of it. Yes.
Yeah. And he goes out, and he honestly could have fucking escaped then.
Yeah.
But then
No,
he
he
sits
decides
there
to shoot.
and he decides to shoot.
At that point, I
fucking
thought as
Motor.
well, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
And this is, I think, the first scene where we get the full silhouette
of what it
of
looks
Motor.
like. Yes.
And really seeing her in all of her glory.
I drew a cute little picture here.
It's so cute. I love it. At one point, I was like, does she got an elephant thing too?
Yeah. There was a
I'll
lot
put
of stuff
also
that's
elephant
there.
looking. I don't know. But he's like starts loading the shotgun. I was like, LOL, like a shotgun's gonna stop a god.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I put, why did he shoot it when he could have just ran?
He could have just ran. It was obviously occupied, and he could have just fucking ran. But he
But
chose
then he
not
went-
to.
He was like, look at me.
Bam.
Shoots it, and I was like, you're not gonna
And
outrun
it's
a
the
god
way
that can alter your
it's
mind.
the way that it just turns its head and looks at him like, did you just
You shoot me,
shoot
bitch?
me? The hell?
You really did what I just think you did? So he starts running. We've got this epic chase scene through the
Yes.
forest, and she picks him up. She gets him,
Yes.
and then she slams him on the ground, makes him kneel. She
Like a
makes
little
him kneel,
bitch.
and it's just like the prophecy, I guess, or
Yeah.
whatever the homegirl was saying. You will. She was like, no, you will kneel.
Yeah.
You will kneel before her, and she made him. And okay, but at this part.
What was it for you? What did it? What was it?
So after she makes him kneel down, she rises up kind of onto her
Oh,
haunches.
yes.
And
gets
like
all the
goes
way up.
and I put, okay, but she kind of looks like a rotisserie chicken.
Oh, she does. Yeah, because the top part and the little hand.
The way I was like, that's a
yes.
rotisserie chicken.
That's hilarious. It does look like that. It very gives much the silhouette of a rotisserie chicken.
I started
Not el pollo
cracking
loco.
up.
Oh my gosh.
I loved it.
That's cute. No, yeah, I totally feel that. And then, the hands for feet kind of thing, whatever pinchers, like that was creepy.
Yeah, her little, because she's got like human arms that are somewhat long too.
Yes.
With the little hands and then the little vagina-esque looking face. And
all
the
in
Ives,
all, I felt like they did a really good job with like this with
the creature design.
the creature design capturing, because it was all based on a book as well, and then also from like the myths, the legends of it. Like they did great.
They did.
It was really good.
But at this point, he then hits her with the axe, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And she starts chasing him, but he makes it out of the forest. I put, he made it out, wee! And then I put, although I'd want to be dead if all my friends were just murdered like that in front of my eyes.
Well, it's the way that he makes it out, and then we get this very beautiful, lovely scene of him looking back because Motor apparently can't leave the forest.
Cross that threshold.
Can't cross the threshold, and starts like roaring at him, and so he
starts roaring
back. And it's, I mean, this scene can be a little comedic, but also too.
But also,
I did appreciate, like, man, what this guy just went through, and he's just like,
he's maniacal. It reminded me very much of Sally at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
For
like
sure.
That just kind of like, holy fuck, did I just make it out of this? That roaring, and he's just like letting all of his emotions out, like, fuck. You know?
Yeah, very much so. Because I mean, at that point, you're just basically like literally, there's nothing left. You're just like, no,
literally
like,
nothing
that's
is left. And then, so after he gets done roaring at Motor, he turns around and there's a road. Like you see literally a car drive by, and I was like, fuck. I was like, there's a road. They were pretty close to civilization
the whole
entire
time.
Whole time.
It's the way that I'm pretty sure they were right next to it the entire time, and Motor or whatever just like literally had them in that much of like a trance or whatever it is, the illusion that they were lost the whole time. So that's that.
And we get the ending scene is he's walking off, and we can assume only to go towards the lodge to get help and let people know what he just encountered. And then it cuts to the black and roll credits. The ending happens. But
it's the way that also too, it's also like you kind of almost want to be like, oh, what a good ending, like he made it out, but like also too like no, because he made it out, but yet what is he supposed to tell people? And all of his friends are dead, and it's just gonna look like he went crazy and he literally murdered all of his friends.
That's
so
true.
He's literally,
but the way that their bodies are like up there, I feel like would be
I don't know
to
though
do.
I don't know.
So a few tidbits here. So I was looking up a few things, and I came across Villains Wiki for Motor, and I want to read this like borderline dating profile to you that they have for her. So it says full name Motor, alias the creature or the god by her followers, origin the ritual, but that's not. Anyways.
Yeah.
Occupation Norse deity. Power and skills, vast supernatural powers, shape-shifting, speed, strength, esokinesis. Hobby, being worshipped, hanging either sacrifice or intruders who are not worthy to her followers. Who's behind door number 1? Their hobbies include goals, be worshipped by humans who enter her forest. Crimes, murder, torture, stalking, abuse. Type of villain, paranormal deity.
I feel like her forest could be an innuendo.
But I thought
that's amazing.
I just loved
love
that whole setup. I was
sounds like a girl boss to me.
Yeah,
set
really
me up.
Though. And so here's just a little bit like more physical description of her. It says she appears as an enormous elk-like monster with bright yellow eyes, skeletal head with antlers, and a pair of human-like hands on her head. And she stalks travelers who enter her forest and marks the person who has suffered from emotional pain. And that person is given a choice: worship Motor or die at her hands. And those who are not are tortured. So fun. But that's her. And then these little details from, there is this article I found on originally another place, but then I found it on Screen Rant, and it is 10 hidden details you missed in the film.
Okay.
I did notice some of them, but I think reading this gave me a lot, because I don't know a lot about Norse mythology. And so going off of this, I mean, I know like the basics from Thor and Loki and Odin. Like I know that.
Yes.
But I don't honestly know a bunch. So I didn't really realize like all the little subtleties. It reminded me very much of The Ring, and with all the hints that they wove into the film.
Yeah.
This was
where
very
it's
much
like when
the
you
same
watch
way.
it again, you're like,
They really went above and beyond with everything that they were doing.
Cool.
So when we get to Igor Lady / Crude's grandma worshiping inside the house before they are knocked unconscious and then chained up to the wall, she is worshiping the Kirkby Stephen stone. And it is actually a real stone that is supposed to depict Loki being chained up, and it's on display and housed in St. Stephen's Church in Kirkby Stephen in Britain. The stone is thought to depict the Norse god Loki bound and chained. And so it's a nice little reproduction there. So that was a nice little tidbit of an actual historical artifact.
That's awesome.
That is real.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. And we've talked a little bit more about the Jotun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and motor. And so we've already talked about that, but being trolls, giants, stuff like that.
I like it too because it gives more credibility to the movie, and it just adds more to like this movie was this movie was thought out.
Yes.
This movie was like there was a thought, like people actually put really hard work into researching and learning and like getting the background and the history of like the mythology of
and
it.
depending on what you believe, could be real.
Yeah. Of course.
So,
So
like,
you obviously don't want to like patronize or appropriate or like be disrespectful. Like I like that there was attention to detail for this movie.
Exactly. And so according to, or going off of that, attention to detail, the creature design, you said you loved how she was designed.
Yes.
So in order to create Motor, director David Bruckner brought on Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And regular Keith Thompson as the creature designer. Thompson had previously worked on concept artists as Del Toro films such as Crimson Peak and Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which Crimson Peak also has Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
Also Loki.
Literally.
What?
The parallels, the like,
love Crimson Peak.
everything
I own
being
it on
tied.
Blu-ray.
That's cute. Crimson Peak is such a good movie. We're going to cover that. Yeah.
But so it says, if Del Toro fans thought the monster's grotesque fairy tale aesthetic looked strangely familiar, that's probably why.
And honestly, too, this creature did look like a creature from hell. Like it gave, like it was
I found
such a good
some really
design.
cool fan art that I was like, I like this.
Obsessed.
Like, I would have it on my wall.
Next tattoo. Next time you come in and it's like
It's just-
Moldor's
I
on
got
your
Motor.
body.
And then it talks about Loki's being the bastard offspring of Loki, which is like, okay, yeah, if you like if you were paying attention to the movie, you wouldn't have missed that. But oh well, whatever. So there's this that Motor can shapeshift, stuff like that. And so we all knew that method of killing can do all sorts of different things, impaling, all those self-sacrifice and rune magic, and then the odal runes. So the symbol has been variously translated, but could mean inherited estate or descent. And that is, so when they came out around those houses, all of those were like, this place has already been like claimed.
Yes.
Essentially. And now you in like extension are also claimed. And so it says it might allude to the fact that the friends have stumbled into the creature's territory, or alternatively,
all free will is gone.
Yeah, it could even point to the creature's mythical lineage. And then the Alges rune. So this one.
Okay.
That one with the circle, it's like a diamond, and then the Y and everything. All those ones, they can conveniently be translated as elk. As we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And then the villagers chanting. They are chanting the word blot. It's like BLO with, I do not know.
The dots above it.
It's not an umlaut. It's a like asterisk.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing. T. It's the pagan term for sacrifice. And so in Nordic paganism, a blot involved many ritualistic elements such as feasts with mead, as well as sacrifice of animals, and yes, sometimes even human. And the blood sacrifice was considered to be magic, and those attending the ceremony would often splash it over their bodies as a way to strengthen themselves for the year ahead. You get to bathe in blood. Aww.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And then
Christianity.
Yeah, really though. Like that's weird. Okay, never mind.
Check it. I'm sorry, you guys.
Last but not least, the actual filming location itself. They are in the Sarek National Park in northern Sweden, and it not only provides a nice haunting backdrop for the film, but it has a long history, and it was first inhabited by humans around 8,000 years ago. 8,000
That's a long time.
years ago. And people have considered since that day to have that the mountains have religious significance.
Yeah.
So it's like even
sacred.
To the filming set itself, like they've thought this through with the religious significance and everything. Like, I mean, if you sit there and you think about it, and like, I mean, if you believe in all that sort of stuff, like this could very
Could be your
easily
stuff.
be real.
Oh yeah.
Which is, sorry, this has been a long episode, but thank you guys for
There's
sticking
a
with
lot
us.
to talk about.
There was so much. I mean, with all the
There's a
little
lot of-
tidbits woven in.
There is a lot of, symbolism. There's a lot of well executed thoughts. This is my, like, when we decided to watch it, I've already seen it before, and I kind of remembered that I didn't really care for it that much, but in time of watching it and actually watching it now and being like critical of it and like actually paying attention to everything, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and I
remember
actually noticed the
liking
things
it the first time.
I noticed the things that I like had not noticed before, and like I said, the attention to detail that was placed throughout the whole movie, and even just like how I really enjoyed Luke's character development throughout, and I felt that it wasn't only like a horror movie, but also almost like a drama in a way. Following like this really like real dynamic between friends when they lost someone, and they're blaming the one friend in the group, because regardless of like the horror genre aspect of it, if you were to just like take this into like a real life situation or like a drama setting, like that's some heavy shit.
Yes.
Like that's
definitely.
very heavy. And like it's
To have
very
that on your conscience,
yeah,
like-
and that's very entertaining. Like honestly, like I hope that there's maybe point me out to it a movie that's like this, where it's more drama,
Yeah.
and it's like not the horror aspect, where like this happened to a group of friends and they're all trying to figure out like how we deal with this, how we evolve, how we grow, and how we deal with like, some people blaming this person for the death, even though it wasn't their fault, but even maybe it could have slightly, or like, that's really interesting. Yeah.
In the end, it's not any of their place to judge or make that call, because they weren't there. They weren't in that moment. They weren't in the situation.
We
But-
have some people who
Yes. As we mentioned earlier, we had posted on our social media, and we wanted to hear some of y'all's feedback. And so we have one from listener Derek. J. Dela Cruz is his full Insta name. But anyways, it's our friend Derek.
on blast.
And he listens very religiously. So like, shout out to you
Shout
for
out
doing
to
that.
you. Yeah. Thank you.
Every episode he like texts me and he's like, look,
Aw,
this is what I
man.
thought of this one. And
Thank
I'm
you,
like,
Derek.
thank you for like actually listening, because
Yeah,
so many
for
people are
sure.
like, I listen, but they don't, So, or they're like, I listened to the
feel
first
you. I feel
two.
you. Yeah.
So he like listens to them the moment they drop. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Derek. Shout out.
But he put the creature stuff of nightmares, and he says, but when Luke escapes and it roars and Luke roars back, he said that had me dead.
Like I said, it could be very comedic,
Yeah.
but like also too, like, I don't know, for me, it just like really was like, I was like, go, I was team Luke. I was like, fucking yell at that.
Yeah, I was like, I
Yell
would
at
have been
him.
doing it too.
Let him have it.
I get it, but it was especially with the closed captioning on it.
Yeah.
And it was like Luke roaring.
Roaring back.
I was like, oh, okay.
I can see that.
And then I followed up with him and I said, how many boos would you give this film? And he said he would give it a solid 4. So solid 4 boos.
Solid
from
4 boos.
Derek. Do you want to read one, or you
No,
want me to
you
just read
go
them all?
for it.
Okay. The next one is from a listener named Kesley, and also very dear to me. They said it was a great movie for people who like to think, but I don't like to think. And so she gave it a 2. I thought, wow, you hated it.
Aw, Kesley, it's okay. Hey, it's not for everybody. And I feel you on that comment of like not liking to
Not
think.
wanting to
Sometimes
think,
in a
yeah.
movie, you really just want to escape and not have to like really, put all the, doing a whole equation of stuff. But I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
that. So thank you for the input. Thank you for your 2.
Exactly. And then we also had one more from another friend of mine named Caleb, and he put, I sent him deer emojis. But he put, yes, it's been a minute since I've seen it, but it was what really stood out to me was how the movie used the fear and of each of the individual characters to create this overwhelming sense of dread.
Yeah.
He put also deer monster spooky.
Yes, very spooky. The thing of nightmares, quite literally.
And then I said, but it also kind of looks like a rotisserie chicken, no? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry if the closest thing to a dinosaur isn't scary to you. But he said he would give it 3.75 boos.
3.75 boos.
So we've got a 2, 3.75, a
And
4.
a 4.
And what would you give it?
So today, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this one 4 boos.
4 boos,
Honestly,
yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I thought like I loved the growth of the character, especially Luke, and I liked the whole plot. I liked and enjoyed how we got to just see these 4 friends divulge into madness, essentially, and then also the
They did a
paranormal,
wonderful job of
supernatural
acting
side of it. Like,
their
yeah,
slipping.
they did, and it was I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
4 boos from me.
Yay. That's awesome. I have to agree.
Yeah.
I do remember liking this film the first time I saw it. To the point where I believe I told other people to watch it. So if I'm telling you to watch something, obviously I hold it in somewhat of a high regard. And the second time as well, I enjoyed it. I was kind of in my head because it was just a little bit rushed and stuff. I ended up getting home like late from work last night, and so I started it pretty late. And I am a sleepy old lady, and
No,
so
I
I was kind of like,
do I
have to watch this?
I fall asleep before the end of any movie.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
have
I
to.
did have to watch the rest of it this morning. But I was like, I was kind of like, oh, do I have to do this? And then I watched it and I was like, okay, wait, this is so good. And it's so easy to get through. So
It
easy
is.
to get
It's
through.
very digestible.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, it's super easy.
And then once I learned all of the just other little tidbits like tied in,
It
and
adds
like
to
actually,
it.
It does.
Yeah,
It
I
really
would
brings the film to
definitely
a next
rewatch
level.
this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. So yeah, solid 4 from me as well. So we've got 3 4s, a 3.75, almost a 4, and
And a
then a
2.
2. So that knocks us down to probably a
Like
3.25.
Girl, you know I ain't gonna do no math.
I'm doing math in my head. I don't know.
Do it. It's okay. I've got my tough calculator on my Apple Watch.
Oh, nice.
We'll
I just
figure
have
it
a
out.
scar on my wrist, but oh, that sounds bad.
We'll divulge into that
Never
next
mind.
time.
Well,
yes.
as always, though, we are in the lovely Rogue,
Rogue
Media
Media.
Network studios. We have Aaron and his wonderful orange child here,
Yes.
little Cheeto Puff boy running around,
Little ghost
taking
child.
good care of us while Mike is getting new legs.
Shout out to Mike
Shout out to Mike. We miss you, bud.
and your old hip.
But also, Aaron, you can be here all the time, too, because we love you.
Mhm.
Yay. But they take great care of us. They make us sound good, and they fix anything that we ever ask them to. So I appreciate it. You can also find us on exactly one social media platform, being
At BooBaes Podcast.
and that is on Instagram.
And that is Boo OOOBAES podcast, not with the babes, because we're not the babes, we're the bays.
That's right.
Yes.
And that is where, if you would like to have your feedback of the film, of any film that we are
Featured
going
in
to
the
cover,
show.
featured in the show, if you would respond to our Instagram stories where we post the morning of, we'll post different little tidbits for you to respond to that week. So look forward to that. At the moment, we're recording on Wednesdays, so keep your eyes peeled on Wednesday mornings. Otherwise, it'll be Sundays. Or
Sundays,
actually,
yes.
we'll probably do that Saturday
Yeah.
because we record Sunday morning. But anyways, we hope you had a lovely Tuesday. You can listen to this. Comes out on Tuesday. So many days of
So
the week.
chaotic. I love this. You know what? Yes, you guys.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Every day, listen to BooBaes, binge it,
Yeah,
repeat
listen
it, eat
every
it,
day.
sleep it, work it,
Bop it.
technologic.
Oh,
Yeah, we both went. Well, that's great.
different ways. But
But we found each other in the middle,
that's right. And you can also find us on a bunch of streaming platforms.
like Apple Podcasts.
That's right. And Spotify being the other big one. If you are
And-
curious about other platforms, look it up yourself.
Yeah, they're out there.
We're
You can
out
find
there.
us.
But you can find us on Spotify, Apple, and Stitcher. I guess Stitcher is the other biggest.
We're floating all around you, waiting for you to tune in.
We are ghosts into the network. And if you are listening, though, please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. That is the only way. And listening. Tell your friends,
Yes.
tell word of mouth. If you are on Spotify and you cannot review, then please just follow us, listen, and tell your friends to listen.
Yeah, join the cult.
Yep, join our little cult.
BooBaes.
It's cute. And
that's it.
I think that is it.
So until next time, bye, bays.
Until then, bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
It's Wild Wild Pest, the deep dive podcast about the South's most notorious outlaws.
Palmetto Pete and his posse were the nastiest cockroaches you could ever fear to meet.
Nope.
Trespassing, loitering, scaring innocent folk when they turned on the light.
No thanks.
And that's not to mention all the diseases the germ-ridden no-good nicks were known to spread.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, but fear not. Terminix was on the case with all the skills, experience, and tools needed to outdraw the outlaws. Learn more at trustterminix.com.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support and a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.